Hi, I'm back. Back with a video. I've been haymaking. I didn't have time to do a video last few days, just due to working on the farm, basically. I gotta just get stuff done while the sun is shining, make hay. Anyway, I got in tonight, 10 o'clock, and I said, I'll sit and watch a video. First thing that popped up was a bloody Crrow video. Would you believe it? Anyway, I thought, I just got sucked in because it said the title of the video was "Does a deed mean you own property?" Okay, episode 225. Okay, I couldn't resist. Sorry, I had to watch, and again, I don't want to down what they're doing over there. They're bringing attention to the whole problem, the whole legal problem right now, but the method of fixing the problem, in my opinion, is not the right method. Crrow wants to operate within the legal system. He wants people to do this. Sorry, I look hot, but I am hot. For those of you that don't know, we are off-grid here. When I say off-grid, I mean we don't have the electric. I've got electric poles out the front, but we turned it off a couple of years ago, and we've been running on solar ever since. So the cooling of the house when it's 100 degrees out is slightly lacking. Okay, I mean, I got the generator on right now, which is still cheaper for me to run the generator. Sorry, I'm getting off track here, but it's still cheaper for me to run the generator and an air conditioner than it is to have the electric on for the day. So, and that's even including paying back the bloody solar panels. I'm not making any money, but I'm not losing any money, and I just have to put up with it for the time being until I get something else sorted out with the cooling thing. But anyway, that's why I look hot. And of course, I've caught the sun the last few days being out on the tractor in the baking heat. So, anyway, where was I at? So I watched the video, and of course, Crrow is going on about trying to fix the problems from within the legal system, and it just is not the right approach in my opinion. Okay, the right approach is to break down the jurisdictional boundaries, make it plain and clear to the people that are doing the wrong thing, in your opinion, and get them to correct it. And it doesn't, I don't believe that this has to be something, and I haven't done it yet, so there'll be people out there that are going to be haters and say, well, you're just talking and you haven't done nothing. You've got to figure this stuff out before you can act on it. Let's put it that way. And I am still figuring a lot of this stuff out, but you can probably do this without going to court. You can probably go in and talk to these people, and then when they don't know the answer, you say, well, who is your superior? Let's talk to him or her, and then go up the chain. Because I guarantee it, at some point you're going to get somebody that actually knows how the bloody legal system works and what it actually means, and they're going to say, this old boy's worked it out, let's just do what he asks and leave it at that. That is what I believe will occur if you can just get the right frame of mind when you go and speak to these people, and if you can get high enough up the chain when you speak to these people. Okay, and if you go and talk to them nicely and normally as a man, or I'm sure these people, they're not all terrible evil people. They're just in the illusion as well. Okay, but you are going to sound like a nut job when you go in there to talk to them and say, well, I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. That's the best way I can think. Is you don't understand what I'm saying, let's talk to the next guy up, because I think he might have a better understanding of the point I'm trying to make. That's the best way to. Sorry, I got a bunch of bugs in here as well tonight. So let's break down this deed thing. Let's break down, do you own property? If you does a deed mean you own property? And the fact of the matter is, no. Okay. Number one, when we're talking about the real man doesn't own legal property. Okay. What the real man does is the real man has physical possessions that are his. Okay. And if nobody else is contesting that with him, no other man is contesting it, no other man is making a claim to that thing, then that's his. Under God, that's his claim. Okay, that's what he owns. Now, as long as he's not taking more than his fair share, in my opinion. But nobody claims anything, really. Okay, if you look across the country, I doubt there's many people that really know about this stuff. Okay, most of them, they're still in the mindset of the fictional deed and the fictional idea of property. Okay, that's the mindset that they're in, rather than the actual real material thing that exists. So, the deed itself, okay, let's break it down a bit further. The deed, what you have, what you end up getting given, if you bought some land or a house or whatever, is you get a certified copy of the original deed or title or whatever the document is, whatever that instrument is. You get a certified copy. Okay, that certified copy doesn't mean jack. It really doesn't mean anything. Apart from the fact that it gets you to buy into the idea that you own something, in the legal term of owning something. That's what it's there to do, to make you believe that you own something that's a legal idea. Okay, the deed itself is an idea. It's a legal idea. Anything that's legal is an idea. Okay, that's what the legal system is. It deals with an idea written down on a piece of paper. The idea is usually drawn from something in the material world. Okay, and then they write that idea down on a piece of paper, and then whoever writes the idea down on the piece of paper, whoever invents it and keeps a hold of that, now has jurisdiction over that, essentially that piece of paper with the idea written on it. That's what they have jurisdiction over. Okay, this is why you have a legal description of your property. Okay, that is what the property is. It's the legal description that's on that piece of paper. It's just an idea. There is no real physical property. The physical property is never in their jurisdiction. It's never in their jurisdiction, believe it or not. Physical things do not lie in the jurisdiction of a fictional thing, of an idea. The deed is a fictional idea. So when they send a tax bill out, okay, they can tax that physical idea, the physical idea. They can tax that deed as much as they like. It's a fictional idea. They can tax it. It's their idea. So they write a tax bill out that's attached, basically, to that deed, the original deed that they have to keep. Okay, because they have to keep it within their jurisdiction. If they handed the original deed to you, they've just lost jurisdiction. It's like giving something away to your friend. You can have this, here. Now it's theirs. Okay? So that's why they always hold on to the original document. Otherwise, they don't have jurisdiction over the idea that's contained on that original document. This is why they keep the original birth certificate. Otherwise, they wouldn't have jurisdiction over anything that the supposed name appears on. And we'll get into this. Once they send a copy or some other document over to you, now you have jurisdiction over it. Okay? This is why when you get pulled up by a cop, they say, "Can I see your driving license, please?" You hand it over, and now you've just handed over jurisdiction back to them. Okay? jurisdiction all comes down to who has physical possession. Okay, you hear it all the time, possession is 9/10 of the law. Well, actually, possession is the law. Okay, when you get stopped by a cop and you hand that license over to them, now they've got jurisdiction over this little plastic license, and now they write a ticket and attach it to the license, hand it all back to you. That's why they do it. There's no other reason for it. Now, they might not realise that that's the procedure, why they have that procedure. They might not realise that. Somebody that doesn't want to hand over and they just show it, they might still write a ticket, even though they've not taken physical possession of the driving license in order to have jurisdiction over it, in order to write the ticket and then give the whole lot back to the person. Okay. To the man that's acting as the person. So this is the to-ing and fro-ing with jurisdiction. Okay, this is why they never give you the original birth certificate. This is why they never give you an original deed or an original title, because then they have no say in what that happens to that thing. But they don't actually have a say in what happens to the actual physical thing. They have a say on what happens over the idea that is contained on the piece of paper. I don't know if people get this or not. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that already know this, but there's also a lot of people, and a lot of people in the comments on Crrow. I had a quick flick through, and I put a comment down there under a different alias, or a different persona, if you like. But there are everything boils down to jurisdiction at the end of the day. Okay, so if the trick is to the whole thing is that and it's all trickery. I mean, essentially it's fraud, but to tell you the truth, I don't know whether to call it fraud or not, but it is, in my opinion, it's very, very close to what I think of fraud being. And I know we'll all have a slightly different idea of, where that line is crossed in terms of fraud, but it's definitely a deception. Okay, they hand you something to make you buy into the idea to begin with. That's the copy of the birth certificate, so you buy into that idea of the person, and then they give you a copy of the deed to make you buy into the idea that you now own a piece of legal property, okay, which you don't. And so from then on, when they send out a bill or a demand to do something, usually under duress, they can do that, okay, even though they know full well that the only thing that they have jurisdiction over is the actual piece of paper that's in the filing cabinet. Where the tax bill really should go, when they create that tax bill, they should say, oh, well, the tax bill is actually to the legal entity, which is the deed. So send it down to the register, the county, just down the hallway to the recorder's office, and that's who should be paying the tax bill on that property, on the legal property. Okay, because that's the only thing they have jurisdiction over. Now, if they want to argue, well, no, it's going to the person. Well, hang on a minute. Every document you've given me is now in my jurisdiction. Okay, so that can't be where you're sending that, because you don't have jurisdiction over any of those documents you've sent to me that I now possess. You don't have jurisdiction over those things anymore. So you really should be sending, if you want to do this chain of the name, where the name comes from on the deed, now you should be sending it to the county health department records, to their filing cabinet, where that name is kept. And they know full well that's what should happen. But yet they send it out into La La Land, into the real world, and they fling it into your area. They put it into your domain, into your physical claim in the world, with some language on there, and I can't get into the language today, but as a man, everybody that I know understands common descriptive language of the local man, of your local fellow man, okay? And that's as far as I'm going to go with telling you about language right now, but we can all understand descriptive language. They assume that you only operate in prescriptive English, for example, with us. We're all talking English right now. So they assume that you're only going to be talking prescriptive English, because that's supposedly what they taught the person at school, okay? Now, there's a big problem with their idea of crossing boundaries, and I don't want to get into it on this video. But that's essentially where the remedy lies, is the fact that they've gone shouting into your domain, making threats in a language that you think you can understand, okay? Now, when I go back to them, they're going to have a hard time, because when I go and talk to them, and I'm just going to go down the office, and I'm going to talk to him, I'm going to have a piece of paper with what I want to say to him, basically a letter, and I'm going to go through it, and then I'm going to hand it to him, and I'm going to have him sign also a duplicate, so that we know that he's received that that document, and I've even gone through it with him, So I will go down, speak to the guy that's the head of the tax people down at the local county office, and I'm going to explain to him where this error has occurred, okay? And I'm going to explain to him that I had assumed incorrectly, and it was a mistake, okay? A genuine mistake. I guess that I'm going to have to, I don't know whether I'm going to have to admit that it's my mistake or whatever, but there's going to have to be a sort of a revealing of what the mistake is, that I've been paying this tax assuming that it was me, because this piece of paper's come into my domain with a threat on it, with a name that I go by as a man. That is also my name. Nobody can have ownership of a name, but you can use a name, okay? And you can use a name and associate that name with yourself, okay? Okay, it's not who you are, but when somebody comes in shouting at you with that threat on it, now they've got a problem, because they've come in threatened me on my own turf, okay? And what they should have done is they should have come in and made sure that that threat had gone to the correct person, okay, which it didn't, unfortunately. And I go through this in another video. Quite often, number one, once it's placed on the physical material possession of the man, now all of a sudden they've overstepped the mark. It's been placed on my body, essentially, and quite often it is handed to me by the mail lady, oxymoron there, by the mail lady straight to me, to the real man. So they've got a problem in that they haven't done their due diligence in making sure that their tax demand has gone to the correct place. That's where they've made the error anyway, and that's where your remedy will lie, is with discussing this with them. And you have to go up the ranks, I'm sure, to get to somebody that actually knows how the system actually works, and then they're going to have to correct it. And whether that means giving back all the value they've taken in the past under the false premise, and they know, I mean, boy, they know what they're doing. I'm sure of it. I'm sure they know what the trick is. The guy on the tax bill probably doesn't know it, but there's somebody in the back office that knows what's going on. They've got to have people in place that understand the system well enough that when something like this crops up, they can sort of sweep it under the carpet as quickly as possible, because they don't want this kind of stuff getting out. That's the thing that I gather from people that I watch on YouTube that go into court and do things. When they start bringing up jurisdiction between the real man and fictional legal fictions, you know, let's push the case out the door is basically what they want to do, and they want to just no record of it and just get that guy out of here and let's not deal with him again. You know, that's the kind of attitude that I see being that's the kind of way they push the cases. That's all I can gather from people that I've watched on YouTube, basically. And without actually going into court every day and actually doing this stuff, there's no real way of knowing. And quite honestly, I don't really want to waste my time going to court. I'd rather just go and deal with it on my terms, go down there, and why shouldn't it be on my terms? Go down to the office and sort it out with them. You shouldn't have to be going into court to sort stuff out. Really, even in the legal system, the idea of court is a last resort to getting stuff sorted out. It really shouldn't be the first port of call. Yeah, you know, that it really shouldn't be what's going on. Anyway, I think that's long enough for this video. I think I've touched on the fact that, to recap, the man never can own legal property. Legal property is just an idea. It doesn't actually have any physical jurisdiction over anything in the real world, although the idea is taken from something that's physical in the real world. What ends up causing the whole place where the jurisdiction lies is the instrument that's created, the deed or the birth certificate or whatever it is. That original document that's in their filing cabinet contains the idea, the fictional idea. Everything's fictional. Contains that fictional idea, and then from then on out, they have jurisdiction over it because they still have possession of the idea on the piece of paper. Okay? Then what they do is they send you some copies so that you believe that you own something. Okay? And at best, the person now has, you know, what they're referring to on there is not even the real man. They're referring to the person, you know, owning something, which they don't even really own. What actually, the real owner is the person that owns the bloody filing cabinet that it's sitting in. Okay? And who that is and what entity that is, who the hell really knows? But that's it in a nutshell. Okay? Whoever has the original document has jurisdiction over that original document, and they can write the rules up as they go for that original document. Okay? And they send you some bump. They send you a brochure to make you believe you have that ownership, and then you buy into the idea of paying the taxes or meeting the demand or whatever they want you to do. Okay? Video's way too long. I apologize. Anyway, you know, if you want to hear more about this, give me a thing in the comments. You know, Dan, can you expand on this idea, or can you explain this a little better, or whatever. I am going to try and get around to doing a video with a, you know, like an overhead shot of a whiteboard or some kind of bloody piece of paper at least, where I can draw these boundaries, these jurisdictional boundaries out, and you can see, you know, it's a lot easier to, if you've just got them drawn on a piece of paper, it's a lot easier to figure this stuff out. Anyway, I know there's a lot of people that probably know this stuff, and I know there's a lot of people though that watch stuff on this, and I mean, I'm still learning this stuff myself, but I know there's a lot of people out there that just don't, they don't even know if this stuff applies to them. I mean, there might be somebody watching in England now, for example, because I know I've got a few people that watch from England. It's all the same. Anywhere there's a bloody postal system, is basically means there's a legal system. That's the whole point of the postal system. It wasn't just so you could send your granny a bloody nice letter every once in a while, or send some birthday cards out, or Christmas cards. It was a means of communicating, between the fictions, between the legal, different legal entities that exist out there in the world. In order for you to have those interactions, you need to have some kind of postal system. So anywhere the postal system exists, basically, is the legal system exists as well. So it doesn't really matter where you are. Any English-speaking country, and pretty much any European country, and pretty much any country that speaks some kind of European language, is going to have a very similar legal system. They pretty much use all the same stuff. They might retitle it a little bit differently, and they might put it in a different book and hide it somewhere else. But basically, it's the same set of rules, the same ideas, and it's basically the same remedy. What you're dealing with, you're real, and your possessions are real physical things, and now you've got to deal with something that's fictional, which it's just an idea, and it has no bearing over anything real in the world. So the only thing that the fictional system has jurisdiction over is the original ideas it has written on a piece of paper in its filing cabinet. And that's about as far as I can go for this one. Anyway, hope that's helpful. And again, if you need to know something a bit more precise, drop a comment. Thanks. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.